When I was very young, I had three dreams growing up, three passions, if you will. And while there are many children who start off their wishing process wanting to be a police officer, wanting to be a fireman, wanting to be a superhero, and things of that nature, my wishes were a little different. When I was relatively young, I have to say I was maybe 7 or 8 years old. I was such a voracious reader that my passion to want to be a writer began to develop when I was about 7 or 8 years old. And I read profusely, I read voraciously. And one of my greatest authors, one of my greatest poets was Edgar Allan Poe. I read Ralph Waldo Emerson almost every day of my young life. And I read all the classics. I mean, I read the writings from Benjamin Franklin, Descartes, Plato, Socrates, all the ancients. And this created in me a desire to really want to hone my craft as a writer. And I began practicing writing when I was very young. That first passion moved to a time that I would say I was in my mid-teens, when as a class project, we were told that we would get extra credit if we attended a Zig Ziglar talk. And so I had to be about 16 years old when I first experienced Zig Ziglar in my life. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him, but he passed away a few years ago. Rest in peace. And I sat through this Zig Ziglar speech that kept me on the edge of my seat like no other person had up until that point in my life. It was so incredibly motivational. There was a power and a sense of vibrancy that came from every single word. Every single word was impregnated with something very special. And each word would hit you in a way and explode in a fashion that just took you to places that it was just an unbelievable experience to me. And it was that talk by Zig Ziglar that created this growing passion to be able to speak in a way that meant something to people, to communicate my ideas and thoughts that in a fashion that kept people interested, that moved them. I saw the power in that. I saw the effectiveness of that approach. And so that became my second passion or desire in my young life. And that desire, that passion was forming at the same time a passion to become a sophisticated market participant, a trader, if you will. And I'd say that was my third biggest passion in my life, to actually get to the point where I knew what I was doing with the market, to be a speculator is what I called it back in those days. It is now called being a trader today. And I formed these three deep passions in my life at a relatively early age. The passion to write effectively, the passion to speak effectively, the passion to play the markets effectively. And at the time these passions formed, I had absolutely no idea that they would eventually, ultimately coalesce all together into one movement, or one thing, if you will. To this very day, a big part of my life, a big part of what I do, a big part of my passion includes writing. A big part of what I do for my life, in my life, calls for speaking. And a big part of what I do, almost everything I do, is connected with trading and playing the markets. And so I'm constantly telling and reminding my children to be very careful of what you direct your passion to, right? We can't control the future. We have not been given the ability to see very far beyond our nose. This helps us to stay rooted in the now for the most part, which is really the most powerful moment in existence. It's, in fact, the now, where you are at this moment, what you are, is the only moment that exists. The future is nothing more than a now that has not quite yet happened, and the past is a now that did happen but is no more. So there's always just the now, and in the now lies the foundation of one's power. But we have no real true ability to know what the next few nows are going to be. We have not been given that ability by providence. We haven't been given the ability to know what is. but not necessarily what will be. However, what we can control in the now is where we place our attention, where we place our energy now, where we place our effort now, where we place our focus now, where we place our passion now. And while we can't know precisely what the result of that is ultimately going to be, I think, based on my experience, it's important to consciously do that. You see, there are many people that walk throughout life not conscious of what direction they place their energy in, what they place their energy on, what they decide to. They do not decide what to focus on. They let life haphazardly dictate their focus, dictate their energy, dictate their passion. And so while we have not been given the ability to predict what is going to happen next, we can influence what happens next by directing what we place our focus, energy, and passion on now. And I'm constantly reminding my children to do this. Your now needs to be lived consciously. Your now needs to be in your control. Providence has not given us the ability to control the future. It has given us the ability to control our now. And this translates into your trading as well. We don't know what a stock is going to do next. We can assess the odds of what may likely happen next, but we don't ever really know. And thank goodness there is no need to know. The same way in life, there is no need to know what next Thursday is going to be. Our life doesn't fall apart because we can't accurately predict 2 Thursdays from now what the weather's going to be, where we're going to be, what we're going to be doing, what's going to be happening, but yet we continue to live effectively our life and our days. There's no need to have the ability to read the future, yet so many traders waste a lifetime studying, researching, searching for that holy grail that gives them the ability to read the future, and we will never be able to do that. We have to become the masters of our now. We have to gain the ability to just control where we are at the moment and what we're doing at the moment, what we are focused on at the moment, what we're applying our efforts and our energy and our attention, what we are placing our awareness on at the moment will directly and indirectly affect what happens in the future. We need to be careful of that. All right, guys, you've been great.